Hi guys, welcome back to the Home and Homestead. I'm Rebecca, and today you'll be joining me in the kitchen while we do a cook with me while I make dinner. We'll be making delicious beef and black bean enchiladas. It's a quick and easy meal that you can put together in no time, and it's perfect for busy weeknights. And most of the items we have on hand already. So let's head to the stovetop so we can put together our beef and black bean enchiladas. Okay, so here at the stovetop, the first thing we want to do is saute some onions. So I'll heat up my pan here and add a tablespoon or two of olive oil or avocado oil. I have one medium onion here that I'm going to coarsely chop up. So we'll add one medium onion. I'll add a little bit of salt just to kind of help release some of those liquids in the onions. And we'll get to sauteing these so they caramelize a little bit and add a little more flavor for our onions. Alright, so as these onions saute away, we'll just go over a little bit how enchiladas are prepared. I really enjoy them because it's a really versatile and flexible dish. You do not have to follow a real strict recipe for this. You could use ground beef, ground turkey, chicken, pork, whatever. You can use whatever bean you happen to have on hand in the pantry. You can leave meat out completely and just do bean and cheese or vegetable and cheese, whatever you want to do. Ultimately, you're doing a nice tortilla filled with some ingredients and smothering it with some enchilada sauce and some cheese, and it'll make a really delicious and filling dinner. So today we'll be using a few ingredients that we prepared together. We'll be using some black beans that we canned together. You can check out that video on how I prepare and pressure can my black beans, as well as the homemade enchilada sauce that we made and pressure canned together as well. You can use red enchilada sauce or green enchilada sauce. As I said, I'll be using my homemade enchilada sauce, which is a red one, and you can certainly use store-bought enchilada sauce or beans. The choice is yours. I'll just show you how I like to prepare this meal. It makes a really quick and easy dinner on a busy weeknight. So our onions are nice and translucent and tender. Now we can add 1 pound of ground beef. Again, you can use whatever type of meat you would like or leave the meat out if you prefer or don't have any on hand. This is also a great dish to consider if you're doing the pantry challenge. So preparing meals strictly out of what you have in your pantry and refrigerator and freezer, and limiting your trips to the grocery store. So now we'll let this ground beef brown with the onion. Okay, so our beef has nicely browned here and released some of its juices. So now I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of a taco seasoning, or you could add 1 packet of your favorite taco seasoning. If you make homemade spices, you could certainly do that and use your homemade taco blend or whatever blend you prefer for this type of a dish. Mine has a little more to go before it needs a refill, but if you're interested in making your own spice blends, you can check out my video on my homemade Sloppy Joe mix, as well as my homemade chili mix. Now, since my beef is pretty lean, I'm going to add about a 1/4 cup of water. And that'll help to kind of hydrate those seasonings that we added for flavoring up our ground beef and onions. Let this saute for a little while so that those spices can waken up and release their oils to flavor our ground beef. And now we'll add some beans. So as I mentioned earlier, I canned some black beans, so we'll use that today. So this is 1 pint jar of some black beans, and I just drained it and rinsed them. You could certainly use store-bought and whatever type of bean you prefer. We'll just toss these beans throughout. Get them coated with the seasoning a little bit. And just heat them through with our ground beef and onion mixture. And this will be our enchilada filling. So now let's head over to the work surface and assemble our enchiladas in a baking pan. Alright, so now I have a nice high-rimmed baking pan. This works great for smaller lasagnas and casseroles, and of course enchiladas. So I have some leftover tortillas from some previous meals, and we're going to use them for our dinner this evening. So first what we'll do is open up our homemade enchilada sauce. And we'll pour a little bit onto the bottom. Now I'll take an enchilada and just use a few spoonsful of our ground beef, onion, and black bean mix that we seasoned with some taco seasoning. You can also add a little cheese inside of your enchiladas if you like as well. Just roll it up and then seam side down, place it inside of your pan. Fill with some of our yummy meat and bean filling. Add a little cheese. And roll it up. This is a great way to use up leftovers from previous meals as well. I've used leftover roast beef before, or chicken from other meals, or perhaps from a rotisserie chicken from the store. Then just use whatever you have on hand with it. You can fill them as nice and full as you'd like because it's all contained inside of this pan. So even if it oozes out, you can still scoop it out and put it onto your plate when serving. There we go. Now let's take the rest of my enchilada sauce and pour it over the top. So make a nice smothered enchilada result once it's baked. I like to go and try to cover up all of the tortilla shell so it stays nice and soft, and that sauce can really bake into the shell too. And last but not least, we'll sprinkle some more of that shredded cheddar cheese. So I used about 2 cups of the shredded cheddar cheese. And again, I used the homemade enchilada sauce. You could certainly use store-bought. Just 1 can will do fine. Now what we're going to do is cover our enchiladas with some foil. You could put it on a baking sheet if you'd like. And I have the oven preheated to 375 degrees. So now I'm going to bake this for 20 minutes with the foil on, then remove the foil and bake for another 10 to 15 minutes or until the top is nice and golden brown. So let's get this into the oven. All right, 20 minutes has passed, so let's pull out the pan and remove the foil. Cheese is nice and melty, so we'll stick this back in and let the top become a little more golden brown and crispy for us. All right, our enchiladas have finished baking. So I did that extra 10 minutes with it uncovered, and I'll put this on the trivet here. And now the cheese is nice and golden brown, and the sauce has allowed to cook a little bit more and thicken up for us. So now what I'm going to do is let this cool and set, and then we can portion out some and see how it looks inside and see how it tastes. All right, our beef and black bean enchiladas have been sitting for a few minutes, and they're able to set up a little bit. So now I can go in and remove one. 1 or 2 makes a nice serving for this. There we go. We have the nice soft tortilla shell with that enchilada sauce that kind of soaked into the shell, and it also crisped up on the outside with some of this shredded cheddar cheese. So now we can add a little lettuce on top. I have some sweet and spicy zucchini salsa that we prepared and canned together. You can check out that video on a different version of homemade salsa. Maybe a dollop or two of some sour cream. You could serve it as is, or maybe add a little Spanish rice or some sort of rice dish. Would go well with this, as well as just some tortilla chips with some salsa would be really delicious as well. All right, so let's have a taste. Inside you can see the beef and the beans and the onions and the cheese all melted and melded together. Dinner is served. This was a really quick and easy meal to put together. You can use whatever meat, beans, vegetables, cheese you have on hand. Roll it inside a tortilla shell, smother it with some enchilada sauce, red or green, and add some more cheese, and you have a meal. Well, I hope you enjoyed our time together in the kitchen while we made our dinner of beef and black bean enchiladas. If you like more inspiration and dinner ideas, you can check out my playlist on the topic, as well as a number of different food preservation videos if you're interested in preserving and creating some of your own ingredients to add for your meals. Well, if you're new to the channel or haven't done so yet, I would really appreciate you subscribing. If you enjoyed this or any other video that you watch, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Well, I hope you're having a wonderful day. See you next time. Take care.